This next project is inspired by something that I saw Tim Holtz do a couple years back. And he basically used some skulls that he had and merged them with paper straws and created these really cool decorative skull straws. So I went into my Halloween bin of craft supplies that I have accumulated over the years, and lo and behold, I found a bag of skulls. This was from, I believe, last year's Halloween. I think that they came back out with this year. So if you can still find it, but Michael sells them, Joanne sells them, and right now everything Halloween is at a really good discount. So if you can find it, you can get it for even less. I, of course, paid $1.25. We're going to go ahead and start with the project and go through the supplies that you will need. So you need a bag of skulls, or however many skulls that you want to use. I am also going to be using some alcohol inks from Tim Holtz. In just varying different colors. So get creative with the color scheme that you want for your straws that you want to use. So I have some alcohol inks. I also have some acrylic paint because I'm going to go ahead and zhuzh these up a little bit and give them a little bit more dimension. You also will need some ribbon. We're going to give these skulls a really cute collar. I'm just using some ruched ribbon that is already kind of gathered for me. You can also use a basting stitch. If you have just normal ribbon, you can just use a basting stitch and run that along and gather it together. You can also use crepe paper as well. You can get creative with all the different sorts of embellishments that you already have. You'll also need some paper, pattern paper, to create our little party hats for our skulls. And then also some paper straws. So I found these at Dollar Tree, but I'm going to show you a really cool way to basically turn straws like this into your own customized straws. So we'll get into that. So you'll need some paper straws. Also from Dollar Tree last year, but this always comes back every year, you'll need some tinsel stems. So I just have black, a really cool magenta, purple. This one has some magenta and mint tied together. And then of course your basic orange tinsel stem. So I think that's it for, oh, and then also last but not least, you are going to need some pom-poms. So I just have mine in a double bubble bucket. So you'll just need some, whatever size that's gonna fit the top of your hat. For me, I'm going to be making smaller hats, so I might just use like the really tiny ones that I have. But again, it just kind of depends on how big of a hat you're making for your skull. Okay, so I think that's it in terms of the core materials that you're going to need for this project. So let's go ahead and get started. So to get started on the party hat that's going to go on top of our skulls, you are going to need a party hat template. So this is a small one that I found online. I will put a link in the description to the one that I found. And then of course you're gonna need some pattern paper in whatever color variations that you want for your little party hats for your skulls. I'm just gonna take the template, trace it on the paper, cut it out, and then we'll get into actually assembling the party hat. So I've cut out my pieces of paper and I went ahead and I distressed the edges with just a little bit of Distress Ink Black Soot. And now when I flip it over, I have added double-sided tape onto one side of our piece of paper. So I'm going to do that for this side as well. So I'm just going to run that right down that side. Okay. So then I'm going to, before I remove the piece of tape, I'm going to take a pencil and I'm going to lay my paper on the table and I'm going to place my pencil on top and then basically curl the paper. So roll the pencil and then roll the paper with the pencil. So you have a little bit of flexibility when it comes to rolling your hat together. So to do this, I am just going to remove that backing to the double-sided tape. I'm just going to go ahead and maneuver this so that I have a point at the top and just kind of roll that over. And then once I have that point, I'm just going to adhere that down. Sometimes it takes a little bit of manipulation, and then sometimes you might have a little bit of an extra edge at the bottom, but that's okay because you can always trim it off. But we are going to also add tinsel to the bottom part of it, so that won't show at all. So here's our cute little party hat. How adorable. So it fits perfectly on his head. It's really easy when you have the template because before you know it, you will have a bunch of little party hats so that you can start decorating your skulls. So to finish off our party hats, we are going to use some tinsel stems. So you can use whatever color variation you want. It's just keep it fun, doesn't have to color coordinate. All right, so I've gone ahead and I've started to adhere my tinsel to the very back where the seam is. So then you're just gonna basically work in sections. Just add a little bit of glue and then wrap around. And then I like to go twice around just because it adds a little bit more of a fluffy rim. And then just trim off the edge when you're done. Okay, so here is our little birthday hat. So all we need to do now is just choose a pom-pom for the top. I don't really want to go small for this. You can, but I kind of like a more obnoxious pom-pom, so I think I might maybe go in with this cute pink one. I'm gonna go ahead and adhere that one down. You're just gonna go ahead and add a little bit of glue to the top of your hat. And then you're just gonna kind of smush your pom-pom right into the hot glue, and then you're just gonna hold it into place. And there you go. You have a little cute birthday hat. So off camera, I made a whole lot of birthday hats in all different patterns and colors. We are going to now work on our skulls. So now for the skulls, we are going to give this more of a realistic look. It's fine as is, but I just want to give it a little bit more depth with the eye sockets, the nostrils, the mouth, and a little bit of where some of these suture lines on the cranium. So I'm going to go in with some black paint. I'm going to dab some black paint in here. So I'm just going to go in and just basically cover the skull in black paint first. So now I'm just going to use my fingers, and we are just going to basically marinate the skull in the black paint. And you can use gloves for this. I don't mind getting my hands dirty, but definitely use gloves if you do not want to have, if you have a freshly manicured hand. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a paper towel after I've kind of worked the paint into the crevices. I'm going to take a paper towel and start wiping away that black paint, just like that. And you can let this dry in between layers, or you can just keep going in. I am going to leave a little bit of black paint in those crevices. This is what the skull looks like, and you can go as many layers in as you want, just depending on what kind of a look you're going for. So I'm going to go ahead and continue this for the remaining 6 skulls that we have, and then we'll come back and start working on the next step. So our skulls have had a chance to fully dry, and look at how cool and decayed they look compared to the original. So with a little bit of black paint smudged all over into the crevices, it just adds a more realistic touch versus the Dollar Tree plastic ones that you get. So this is still Dollar Tree, and look at how you can elevate it to the next level with just a little bit of paint. All right, so we are going to now go into creating the collar for our skull. And to do that, I'm just going to go ahead and use this ruched ribbon. You can use whatever ribbon that you have in your stash. You can also, if you like this look, but you don't have ribbon that's similar to this, you can just take your ribbon, do a running stitch, gather it, and then you have a nice gathered ribbon that you can then transform into a collar. Or if this isn't your style, then you can use whatever that you have, tinsel trim, things of that nature. I really just encourage you to use what you do have already in your collection. To go ahead and dye it, we are going to go in with some Distress inks, Distress oxides. I have Cracked Pistachio, Spice Marmalade, Carved Pumpkin. I have Festive Berries, Wilted Violet, Dried Marigold. So I'm just going to kind of go in and see what colors speak to me. And I'm going to first cut this into little pieces similar to this. You don't need a whole lot because circumference-wise, this skull, the neck of the skull is very small. So You don't need a whole lot of your ribbon. So just cut however much you need, and then we're gonna go ahead and dye that. Now, as you've probably seen, my fingers, oh, they are so nice and dyed. So I'm gonna go in with a glove because I am fearful that as I go in with purple and green and pink, I mean, I'm gonna have a rainbow hand by the end of this. So I'm just gonna go in with some gloves. I normally don't really use gloves because I enjoy the process of using my hands, but unfortunately my hands are not looking so great. And I'm sorry you have to look at them. So, all right, so we're gonna go ahead and start with our first piece. Let's see, I'm gonna do cracked pistachio. Isn't that a gorgeous color? So what I'm gonna do is I'm literally just gonna take the ribbon and just rub it into the color and just get that ink right on the ribbon. So this might take a few goes. I did try it with alcohol inks, and quite honestly, it didn't work. You can use alcohol inks for a lot of different things, but for fabric, I didn't find a lot of success with that. So if any of you have tried alcohol inks and had success with dyeing fabric or ribbon, just please let me know in the comments if there's a trick that I'm missing, because it just wasn't working for me. All right, so I'm just gonna continue to, you see how it's getting that nice color? You can go as light or as dark as you want. I'm kind of looking for as much coverage as possible. I kind of want to mask as much of the cream there. You can even just, since I'm wearing gloves now, you can even just kind of get it on your fingers and then kind of rub it into your fabric. Not pretty? That's such a pretty color. I'm using a glass mat in case I spill anything or if I touch it by accident. The glass mat is just really easy for cleanup. I could just use rubbing alcohol, hand sanitizer, water, and it cleans up really easily. If you're using alcohol inks, you do want to use some sort of solvent like hand sanitizer or rubbing alcohol to remove it from your glass surface. Water won't work for that. But the glass mat is just really easy to use for cleanup. This is the Tim Holtz Tonic Studios glass mat, but you can use really any glass mat that you can find on the market. It doesn't have to be Tim Holtz, but I am a huge Tim Holtz fan, so as you can see, I am inspired by him. I use his products, and I think he's just an amazing creative and has so many different ideas and just a wealth of inspiration for us crafters. So, okay, so that is really pretty. I like how that looks. Very, very pretty. I love it. So I'm going to set that aside to kind of set. I'm going to go ahead and just spray my hands with some, or my gloves with some water. Distress oxides, distress inks, they are water reactive, so really, really easy cleanup. You do want to do that in between your ink dyeing process because otherwise you'll end up with muddied colors. Look at this beautiful rainbow of color. It is stunning. So we have picked raspberry, carved pumpkin, spice marmalade, mustard seed, cracked pistachio, wilted violet, and seedless preserves. It's beautiful. I love it. Obsessed. So the next thing we're going to work on are the paper straws. So this is what's going to hold our skull head. And for these, I did go ahead and use alcohol inks to dye them. They used to be black and white, but I wanted one with orange and black. I couldn't find any of the orange and the black in store, so I thought, hey, let's go ahead and use some alcohol inks and see if that will work, and it did. Now, if you are going to dye your straws, just make sure that you're not going to use these straws for drinking from, because you are using something that is harmful to you, so just be mindful of that. Do not use this if you are going to drink from the straw. But in this case, we're not. This is just purely for decoration. So I'm going to go ahead and dye these a few different colors. I think I'm going to just keep two that are black and white. And then this one I'm gonna dye to be orange. I want 2 of those. And then these guys, I thought it would be fun to dye them purple. So we're just gonna go with it. And then I only need 7. So I'm gonna just do this. Okay. So I'm just gonna go ahead and dye these 2 for now. So to do that, what I found was easiest is, again, wearing gloves because I have dyed my hands way too much. So I'm gonna go in with, I'm gonna have my rubbing alcohol ready. So I'm gonna go in with Sunset Orange. And basically what you wanna do is just add some right onto your glass mat. I'm using a glass mat because it's really easy to clean your alcohol ink. And you're just gonna rub your straw right in it until it's covered. And then once it's all covered, you're gonna set that aside to dry. It does dry very quickly just because it is alcohol and it evaporates really fast. So you just need enough alcohol on there to dye your straw. So that was super easy. I probably used way too much, but better to use more than you need. Okay, so I'm gonna set that aside to dry. And then really easy for cleanup, you're just gonna take your alcohol, rubbing alcohol, spray that on your surface, and bada bing, bada boom, you are all clean. That's why I love the glass mat. That's why you wear the gloves. Oh my gosh. I need to wear gloves more often when I'm using stuff like this. And that is it for the straws. So very, very easy to do. It took a very short amount of time, which is great. So here are our straws that we are going to use. So let's go ahead and start assembling our skulls together. So to start, I'm gonna pick one of our little collars. So we're just gonna create a little collar like that, bring that around. I'm gonna hot glue that into place. So I'm just gonna take a little bit of hot glue there, and using my mat, I'm just gonna glue that into place so I don't burn my fingers. Just like that. Okay, we're gonna set that aside, and then we're gonna take one of our skulls, and basically we're going to make a hole for the bottom. So this is where our straw is gonna fit in. And to do that, I'm just gonna use the tip of my hot glue gun because it's very hot, and I'm just gonna press that right up against the skull base, and then just kind of gently push it around so that you make an indentation, basically a hole in there, because this is a hollow piece of plastic. So we just want to make it big enough so that our straw can fit comfortably inside. So I'm just going to check it. Okay, still have a little bit to go. So again, just kind of wiggle that around. Check it again. Not quite, almost there. And okay, I think we made some progress. There we go. So now we have our skull on top, so we will be gluing that into place. Next, we're going to add glue right around the hole, just like that. We're going to add that right on top of our collar. And I like to kind of smush the collar up to where the neck would be, just so it looks like the collar is almost enveloping him. So I have that in place. And then we're going to go ahead and take our straw. So I like to add glue right into the hole, around the perimeter of the hole. And then I also am going to add glue, a generous amount, to the top of the straw. And this isn't something that's going to be seen, it's just going to be underneath, so not to worry if it doesn't look the most glamorous. And then I'm just going to kind of wiggle that around. So I'm just making sure that the straw is secure. Now our straw is in place. Really cute so far. And it's just so fun, especially when you have a lot of different hats. You can kind of dress them differently in different colors and variations. So that's really fun. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take our birthday hat, and we're just going to add a line of glue right around the circumference of the hat. And then we're going to make sure our seam is facing the back. and it is. And then basically we're just gonna add the hat down on an angle, just like that. Look at how stinking adorable he is. Oh my gosh. I love it. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and finish up the rest of these using the same technique, and then I will be right back to show you the whole collection of skull straws. Oh my gosh, this makes me so happy to look at. Look at how adorable our little skulls look with each other in a whole rainbow palette. It is so fun. I love all the mixtures of the different pattern papers, the different colors going on, the straws. I'm obsessed. So Tim Holtz, thank you so much for this inspiration. Who would have thought using Dollar Tree skulls to turn into these really beautiful pieces of art? Such a fun idea that you can attach to treat bags, you can attach as a gift topper, party favors. So fun. I love it. What a wonderful way to distribute this at your next Halloween party, and what a talking point. These were absolutely so fun to make, so I cannot wait to start incorporating these into my Halloween decor. So if you like this video, please go ahead and give me a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and do ring the bell for notifications for more content to come. It really helps my channel out when you guys subscribe, gets my channel out there, keeps it growing. Thank you so much for watching and for being here. I really, really, really appreciate it. So until next time, I will see you all in my next video. Take care. Bye.